Hey guys, and welcome back to AdosTheGreat YouTube channel. So guys, in today's video I will be giving you my preview and predictions for the week 1 of the Pacific Championships. So we'll go through the men's games first and then the women's. I will go a little bit more in depth with the men's games, mainly due to the fact that I know a lot more players in the men's league than I do the women's. Doesn't mean the women's league is any less entertaining. I've obviously just put a lot more research and stuff into the men's competition, but we will talk a little bit about the women's at the end. But yeah, if you want to see my full predictions of this championship, go and check it out. I dropped that video on Monday. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump in with the first game on Friday night for the men's competition. The Australian Kangaroos against Tonga. It is at 8:10 p.m. That's daylight savings time. So it's 7:10 p.m. Queensland time at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane. I will be at this game. I cannot wait for it. Let's go through the team lists and then talk about the game. So for the Kangaroos, Dylan Edwards at fullback, Xavier Coates and Zach Lomax on the wings, Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow and Tom Trbojevic in the centres, Tom Dearden and Mitchell Moses in the halves, Paddy Carrigan and Lindsay Collins up front with Harry Grant in the number 9 jersey. In the second row, we've got Angus Crichton and Cameron Murray with Isaiah Yeo at lock. Matt Burton, Mitch Barnett, Reuben Cotter and Hudson Young make up the bench. Ben Hunt, Lindsay Smith, Reece Robson and Bradman Best make up the reserves. Alright, so pretty strong lineup there for Australia. No real surprises here. I think this is pretty much the strongest squad Australia could name. Wouldn't have minded to see Lindsay Smith on the bench. I'd actually prefer him over Hudson Young, if I'm being honest. I know that is, probably it is probably just my opinion there. Nobody else probably has that opinion. But I like what Lindsay Smith offers. I think he would fit in really well in the 17 somewhere. But very strong lineup there for Australia. Matt Burton on the bench. I quite like that because he can cover a range of positions. He can play fullback if absolutely necessary, but then you'd probably move Turbo or Hammer to the fullback and play him in the centres anyway. So, that centre spot is very important to have coverage for on the bench. He can play in the halves, could probably play 9 if desperate as well. So I don't mind that pick on the bench there. But yeah, pretty strong lineup. I'm happy with it. Now let's look at Tonga. So Tonga have named Lehigh Hopewadi at fullback, Daniel Tupu and Sione Katoa on the wings, Moses Sully and Paul Alamotti in the centres, Lolohea and Isaiah Katoa in the halves, Adam Fanor-Blake and Felice Kafusi in the front row with Saliva Havili in the number 9. Hamole Olakawatu, Ali Katoa and Jason Taumalolo make up the second rowers and lock. Sonny Luke, Sitili Tupunua, Teniala Paseka and Keon Kololmatangi make up the rest of the bench with Tolu Kola, Siwa Wong, Isaiah Iongi and Fini Fuiaki in the number 21 jersey. Now, not really too many surprises here for me. I actually thought Lehigh Hopewadi would get the number 1 jersey there over the likes of Kola and Iongi. I think he offers a lot at fullback. I also think Sully deserves that centre spot over Kola. Tolu Kola, incredible player, and if there is a HIA and he needs to come on, he will do a job wherever he plays. But I like the back 5. I really do for Tonga. I think it's very strong. Lola here, he's been there, he's done it before. We know what he offers. He is a good player. Isaiah Katoa as well, very good. I think this Tongan side is severely underrated. And they're going to come in here. They've got, I would say, arguably a better forward pack than the Aussies. The dummy half rotation's not the best, but again, it's not bad. Like, Saliva Havili is not a bad player by any means. And you can bring Sonny Luke on pretty early. You can play Saliva Havili in the forward pack as well. One change I probably would make is Felice Kafusi to the bench with Keon Kololmatangi into that front row spot. But outside of that, I think they've named a pretty strong lineup. My prediction for this one, I do think Australia wins it. Can't remember what my prediction was on Monday, but I'm going to say Australia by 8 in this one. I do think they will be too good. I understand, the forward pack of Tonga is incredible, but I just think the Australian spine is just next level, and especially with like Hammer and Turbo in the centres, like what they offer is just it's second to none. So you've got to. I think Australia will win this one. They've got a really good spine, a very strong lineup there. And Tonga's forward pack will get them on the front foot early, but yeah, again, I'm going to back in Australia here. I think they get the job done by 8. All right, next up, we've got the second of the men's game this weekend. We've got Saturday at 7:10 daylight time, or daylight savings time in Suva, Fiji. We've got the Fiji Bati against the Papua New Guinea Kumals. Now, the Fiji team consists of Sonia Turuva at fullback, Micah Sivo on the wing with Semi Valame on the other wing. Michael Jennings and Wanga Blake make up the centres. The 5'8" is Kevin Nguama. The 7 is Kurt Donahue. Shout out to Kurt, Capra's legend. Tui Kamikamika and Ben Nakubuai. Apologies if I pronounce any of these names wrong. Penny Tangi Tuamua. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right either. He's the dummy half. Viliami Kikau. Kitione Katonga is the second row. And Caleb Navale, the lock. On the bench, Joe Lovudua, Tane Milne, Kylan Mafoa and Jordan Miller make up the rest of the bench, with James Valavatu, Ronald Filatonga, Nathan Keg King, and Ratu Rena Kama. I do apologise if I pronounce any of those names wrong, guys. Please do correct me in the comments. I do want to learn correct pronunciation. All right, so when I look at this team, I think, it's pretty good. Like, obviously, you've got players in there that have played several games of NRL. Michael Jennings, Wanga Blake, two of the key veterans in this team. You've also got Kevin Nguama, who has been a massive part of this Fijian squad and has played a lot of NRL games as well. Tui Kamika is there. Viliami Kikau. Tane Milne off the bench. I probably would have started him in maybe the second row in place of Kitone Katonga, or Katoga, I think it is. Do let me know. But outside of that, I think they've got a pretty decent lineup here. I do think their halves could be found wanting in this game, though. Obviously, Kevin Nguama known more for a back than a half. Kurt Donahue, he does a job, but again, he's not an out-and-out 7. I think they may struggle a bit with the halves there, and I think while I'm supporting Papua New Guinea in this game, I do think that I have underestimated them a little bit. So let's get into the Papua New Guinea team. Nene McDonald at fullback, Elijah Roltinga on the wing with Robert Derby on the other wing. Robert Matthias in the centres with Roderick Tai. Kyle Labert and Lockie Lamb are the halves. Valentine Richard, Judah Rimbu, Jacob Alec all make up the front row and hooker. Reese Martin, the captain, Jeremiah Simbikin, Jack DeBellin, all the second row and lock. Liam Horn, Koso Bandi, Sylvester Namu, Ila Alu are the bench there, with the reserves being Dan Russell, Sani Wabo, and Maria. So, look, I do think all round Fiji have a stronger lineup, but the halves for Papua New Guinea, I think, cannot be underestimated. Kyle Labert and Lachlan Lamb are two extremely good halves, and you need good halves in your side. I reckon that they could give Fiji a run for their money in this game. I really do. I did back in Fiji to win the entire comp, spoiler alert, or to win the Pacific Bowl anyway. But I might backflip on that, because now that I've seen this lineup for Papua New Guinea and seen it through 1 through to 17, I do think Dan Russell is a little bit unlucky in this one to miss out, but he did just play last week, so maybe they're resting him there. This is a pretty strong lineup. This is definitely a pretty strong lineup. Queensland Player of the Year in Judah Rimbu as well. So I think they've named a pretty strong lineup here. The halves are experienced, and that is going to play a massive part in this one. I'm going to change my tip here. Now, I know this is in Fiji, so there's definitely, Fiji probably should win this game. But just by the halves, I reckon Papua New Guinea get up here. I'm going to change my tip here. I'm backing in Papua New Guinea by 1 point in this one. All right, the men's games are done. Let's look at the women's games. Friday night footy. Prior to the men's game, we've got the Australian Jillaroos against the Papua New Guinea Orchids. For the Jillaroos, we've got Tamika Upton at fullback, Julia Robinson and Jakaya Whitfield on the wings, Isabella Kelly and Tiana Penatani in the centres, Ali Brigginshaw and Taryn Aiken in the halves, Millie Elliott and Shannon Marto make up the front row with Quincy Dodd in the number 9 jersey. Kezi Apps is in the number 11, Yasmin Clydesdale in the number 12, and Samaima Taufa in the number 13. Olivia Higgins, Sarah Toga Tuki, Keely Joseph, Mahalia Murphy, Jess Surges. Didn't get a bait in this team, which is crazy, but the centres are incredible. Abby Church, Jessica Ellison, and Lauren Brown make up the reserves. For the Orchids, we've got Mala, Mark, Freda Waller, Belinda Wasaman, Latonia Norris, Liana Allen, Sierra Kurui, Delilah Ahoz, Esse Banu, Yua Rava, Elsie Albert, who is the captain there, Sarika Muka, Emily Vivas, Gloria Kapar, Roswitha Capo, Jessica Reeves, Talitha Kunjul, Layla Karoa, Lila Malabug, Melly Joe, Yolanda Torte, and Frida Anthony. Do let me know if I've pronounced any of those names wrong, because I guarantee you I have. I do want to correct anything I pronounce wrong though. All right, so for this game, obviously the Australian squad is incredible. This side is going to be hard to beat. I don't think there's going to be too many teams that trouble this side. And, Elsie Albert, incredible player, incredible talent. She is such an amazing talent. She's the captain of this side, and she's going to lead by example. But I can't see Australia losing this one. I actually think they win this one by... I'm not going to give an exact margin. I'm just going to say 13 plus, because I think Australia will be too strong in this one. So they are my tip there for the first one. And for the second game, Saturday night, we've got Tonga against Samoa. I'm just going to go with players that I've heard of in these ones. Amanita Parky, I believe I know that name. You've got another Penatani there, Natasha. Outside of that, I don't know too many. Pani Hopawate, obviously we know the Hopawates there, but outside of that, no, I don't know too many there. For Samoa, obviously you've got Avania Palita, Tavana Papali'i, Jessica Patea. Like, they're sort of names I think I've heard before, but I don't know all that much about them, to be honest. I think this one will be very close. I'm going to go... I think Samoa win this one. I'm going to go 1-12 in that one. All right, guys. So they are my tips for the week 1 of the Pacific Championships. I would love to hear your predictions down below in the comments, guys. Let me know who are you backing this weekend. And yeah, thank you all so much for tuning in. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.